Can you believe it? 6 years ago, Disney brought us Frozen. I don't know if they expected for it to become the cultural phenomenon that it did. Frozen became the biggest animated film ever. It became a part of Disney's legacy as a studio. And now, I'm much older. I still know all of the words to Let It Go, Do You Want to Build a Snowman, and For the First Time in Forever. And now here we are with Frozen 2 out in cinemas. I've seen it. I'm gonna give my review on it. And I hope you loved it as much as I did. A Frozen 2 movie review. Hey guys, how are you? It's Owen here, and today I'm going to be giving my rundown, my thoughts on Frozen 2, and my favourite songs, my favourite scenes, my favourite moments, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. It was mainly what I liked about it. There was very little that I didn't like about it, and whether I think you should go and watch it in the cinemas this Christmassy, December-y, cold period, because it's sort of the perfect film. I mean, it's called Frozen. It's the perfect film to be watching when the night's getting shorter. You want to be watching something that's happy, something that's jolly, something that has adventure, and I think Frozen 2 ticks all of those boxes. And it has Olaf in it. You might be saying, Owen, what are you doing? You're a 20-year-old. Why are you still talking about Frozen 2 and Frozen and all that animated glory? Well, go and see the film and then you'll know how much I love it, because honestly there is a lot there that is for adults and kids, and the story feels so much more epic, adventurous and deep than the first one ever did. Personally, I felt like this one had so much more to it for both adults and children. Now I'm going to be delving into my more spoilery thoughts later on, but first I'm going to keep it completely spoiler free and say that I'm going to hold my hands up, they're up, and say I think I did prefer Frozen 2 to the original Frozen, and it goes off of the reason that I just said basically. Frozen 2 feels like the scale has increased by so much more, and it feels like the writers said, you know what, Frozen was a very simple story. It was turned on its head, you know, where Hans turned out to be a villain. If you haven't seen Frozen 1, then that'll be a spoiler, but you should have seen Frozen 1 if you're seeing this review. They turned it on its head, but the concept itself was quite straightforward, whereas Frozen 2, I feel like, made everything a lot more bigger in scale. The world building was insane. You really felt like that they had explored every corner of this world, of Arendelle, of the new worlds that they brought in. The characters as well felt like they had more complicated emotions that were, of course, made simple. This is a kids' film, I'm not gonna lie, but they were things that I feel like resonated a lot more with people generally than maybe Frozen 1 did. I feel like everybody's going to be saying this, but this film is so beautiful looking. The animation is incredible. I love the fact that they decided to move the winter theme along into something more autumnal, brought in the colourful leaves. I just think it looks so stunning, and honestly, I feel like it was a bit of a breath of fresh air to see that sort of Disney animation come back again. It's been a long time since we've seen it, and I really enjoy the way that Frozen is animated. It feels like a proper Disney film. I love The Lion King, the remake, but it is nice to see just pure animation. They definitely delved into a lot more corners than they thought they would, and I'm going to talk about that a bit more in my spoilery section. I sat there as a 20-year-old. I know there's going to be definitely parents and older people watching this film with their younger people, older people and young people together, but I do feel like it is a perfect family film in the vein of things like Toy Story, where adults are definitely going to be able to relate to the humour and find it funny and find it amusing, and also just be able to watch it and think, wow, this is beautiful, this tells my children something great and important, but also it looks stunning, and they've obviously put a lot of work into it. I mean, 6 years. I didn't think I would have aged this much since the first one. And just very quickly, I would say that a song highlight for me has to be Into the Unknown. I felt like it is one that they immediately put out. I don't blame them. It's very Let It Go-esque, and it just has that epic feel to it, and definitely feels like the whole Into the Unknown theme encompasses the whole film as a whole, so it makes sense for this to be the title track. And you know what, I also love the Panic at the Disco version, which plays as the first song, and the end credits, they did a great job too. It's even better in cinema. It feels a lot more epic than just listening to it in headphones in your room. You need to be there with Elsa and Anna and all your favourite characters. I would say one thing, non-spoilery, is that I feel like some of the, apart from Into the Unknown, less of the songs I remembered coming straight out. Christoph's song is definitely one that will have you adults very much enjoying. It's very nice how they've been very tongue-in-cheek with the way that it's portrayed, But compared to Do You Want to Build a Snowman, Let It Go, Love is an Open Door, all of these incredible songs in the first one, they were great in the second one too. I just felt like they were less catchy, perhaps. That might be something to consider. But I'm sure as soon as the soundtrack comes out, we're all going to have them in our heads non-stop. So, going into a bit more of my spoilery thoughts, I will have to say that I did feel like some of the reveals came very quickly. I don't know, as an adult, that's just me coming into a film, whereas I would have watched the first one more of a kid. I wanted it to be as complex as possible, and things like finding out that Elsa was the fifth spirit, I felt like that it just got there too quickly when I was expecting it to be a big reveal at the end, but it sort of came midway. But that did mean that it opened up into more opportunities, and ones that I really didn't expect, such as Anna talking about her grief and feeling like she had given up, and that was really nice to see, almost in a very subtle way, Disney approaching the issue to mental health children, making it seem a lot more simple and relatable. And it was nice to see this conclusion come together, where it wasn't just Elsa being all powerful, and it actually was Anna as well having to guide her and, rely on one another and communicate with one another. Communication in this film is such a big deal, and I think that's a great thing to be teaching our young people today, including myself. I feel like we could all do a better job of communicating with one another. I do feel like Frozen 2 felt like it deserved to happen, for the simple reason that, of course, Frozen 1 made so much money, was so popular, was, as I say already, a cultural phenomenon, but I do think that it wouldn't have made sense, looking back with how Frozen 1 ended, for Frozen 2 to not have come out, because it just didn't really make sense for Elsa to be Queen of Arendelle. She doesn't fit in there. She never really felt like she probably did fit in there, I don't think. And this big realization that actually it should be Anna who is queen of, the normal folk, and Elsa who is queen of the magical spirits and the cute little lizardy thing or whatever. So I do feel like it actually made a lot of sense to this film to come out. Maybe that's just because the writers did a very good job, but I feel like a lot of questions were answered from the first one that I didn't necessarily realise after I finished watching it needed to be answered. And so when they were answered in Frozen 2, I was like, oh, this all makes sense now. For me, Olaf is definitely the character that pulls this film all together. Olaf is such a... They write him so well, and Josh Gad, the actor, plays him brilliantly, in the sense that the jokes just do land so well on time, and it makes the whole film feel lighter when some of the themes can get a little dark, as I said, with grief and mental health, and Anna feeling like she's left alone. And Olaf's comedy is so funny, I have to say. His song is amazing, and the bit where he's recapping Frozen 1, the whole theatre was laughing, and he definitely made the film feel a lot more light when at times it could feel quite intense, for some young people especially. Samantha? I would have to say as well, it was really interesting to see the Kristoff dynamic with him trying to marry Anna throughout the film. I enjoyed that because, again, it made sense in comparison to the first one, where it was so rushed. I mean, Hans and Anna just pretty much get married like that. They're like, should we get married? Yes, because they finish each other's sentences. That's what I was going to say. Whereas Kristoff is struggling throughout the movie to work himself out and to build up the courage. And again, I think that's such an important thing to be teaching people, that some decisions that are really big can literally cause you so much worry and anxiety. And it was a nice side plot line to have, going away from all of the deepness of Elsa and Anna trying to figure out everything, basically the whole world. It isn't as simple as falling in love at your first sight of someone, as it suggested when Hans and Anna got together. And that didn't end well, did it? No, not at all. I would have to say one thing is I sort of expected there to be more characters or new characters in Frozen 2, and there was sort of a subtle introduction of a few of them, but I think something that I didn't realise as well is how little we had gone into some of the deeper emotions that our main core cast actually had. And I'm thankful that the writers didn't decide that they were going to add 100 new characters and have to juggle them all, because there's already 5 main characters here. The characters from the first one were already loved so much, and it was nice to see them explored in a lot more of a deeper way. Of course, we got to see Elsa rock about 100 different looks, which, girl, she absolutely did that. I feel like the story, as I already said, just came to a complete closure and end, and I wouldn't personally like to see more Frozen sequels, I'd be more than happy to spend my money on an Olaf spin-off. But I feel like the story of Frozen has wrapped up nicely. So as a whole, I really enjoyed Frozen 2, if not more than the first one. As I said, I feel like maybe the songs weren't as catchy, but I feel like I need the soundtrack to come out. The soundtrack hasn't come out yet, and I feel like as soon as that comes out, I'm going to be listening to them and being like, yes. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of Frozen 2. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon for another video. If you've been watching my Drag Race videos, you'll know that I've been awful recently, but I will hope to be filming this week's episode because it's getting dangerously near to the finale. I need to keep on top of everything that's going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all soon for another video. Bye. Love is an open